Hi everyone, Sebastian Richard here. I'm in front of my fireplace. It's that time of the year again when we get to enjoy fires, if you have one, if you're lucky to have a wood-burning stove or a nice fireplace, or just, cozying up in front of a movie with popcorn and just relaxing and enjoying the warmer temperature inside because it's getting colder out there. So today I'm going to keep going with my my series on inspirational superhero quotes from the book Lead Like a Superhero. And today's quote comes to us from Aunt May. And for those of you who are not familiar with who Aunt May is, well, she's basically the aunt of Peter Parker. And for those of you who are not familiar with who Peter Parker is, well, maybe you should start reading comics. Peter Parker is the Amazing Spider-Man. But Aunt May is really a fascinating character in the Marvel Universe. She's one of those unsung heroes. She is basically this kind-hearted woman who raised Peter from a young boy, young age. He was left as an orphan, and he went to live with his Uncle Ben and his Aunt May, and they raised him as best they could. They were hardworking, blue-collar class people with a heart of gold. And that is what transpires in Spider-Man's life and Spider-Man's values. He got that mostly from Uncle Ben and Aunt May. And the quote comes from the movie Spider-Man 2, which was directed by Sam Raimi, in which Spider-Man decides at some point in the movie to quit being Spider-Man. So he just put his suit in the trash, and he decided that he was going to go on living a simpler life where there was no sacrifice or no heartache involved. And that was kind of a sad part in the movie, but the little speech that came from his Aunt May when she was just packing boxes outside of her house actually encouraged Peter Parker to put the suit on once again and to stay Spider-Man. So this is the part of that little speech that she gave Peter Parker. She didn't even know it was Spider-Man. She just believed in, it was the right time for her to speak her mind about what Spider-Man did. So here's what she said. She was speaking to Peter Parker about a little boy who was wondering what happened to Spider-Man because he had been out of action for a while, and she said this, and that was really inspirational. I put it in the book. She said, "I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble, and finally allows us to die with pride. Even though sometimes we have to be steady and give up the thing we want most, even our dreams." So that came from Aunt May, and someone once said about Aunt May, they said, Peter Parker got his powers from the spider, but he got his strength from Aunt May. And I think we can understand from this quote why that person said that. It was someone working in the comic book industry, describing the character of Aunt May. And it's a bit of a shame what they did with Aunt May in the last few years, trying to appeal to a younger audience. They kind of took her down in age. I always thought that the fact that she was this elderly lady made her more appealing. Now that it went down, they went down in years. They used Sally Field, who was not in her prime, but still was younger than the Aunt May we pictured in the comics. And then from there, they went and hired an even younger actress. So I don't know, it takes away the flavor in my personal taste, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about unsung heroes. And I want to talk about the value of sacrifice, and that's what she's talking about there. Basically, she says that sometimes being a hero means to give up on your own dreams. And in my line of work, it's something that I teach people a lot, to pursue their dreams, to go for it, to put everything on the line if they have to. But sometimes being the hero means to not pursue your dreams. Sometimes being the hero, if it means that pursuing your dreams is going to alienate your wife or your family or hurt anyone in the process, sometimes being the hero means that you're going to give up on your dreams. And those are the unsung heroes. I talk about them in the book. Those people who just do the daily grind, sometimes because they have no choice. And that's what this video is about today. I just want to sing the praises of those unsung heroes. Sometimes pursuing your dreams is just a luxury that you cannot indulge in. And it can be put off for some time, for a better time in your future. and sometimes altogether. Some people have to quit on their dreams just for the sake of, sometimes you have a family member that is ill, and the specialist that is taking care of their needs is in the city where you're working. And for example, you can get a super offer that would triple your salary in another city, but they don't have that specialist. So the father or the mother decides, no, you know what? We're going to tough it out. We're going to stay here for the sake of little Timmy who's sick. We're going to stay in this city and keep grinding at the job we have right now. Or sometimes, a wife might not agree with a husband getting a higher position, or vice versa. And even if the position might pay much more, and maybe the position is part of the person's dreams, maybe for the sake of the family, for the sake of the marriage, the person's going to say, you know what, if my spouse doesn't agree with it, I'm just going to tough it out and stay here, because if my spouse doesn't agree with it, it's not God's will. So I'll just keep going, keep grinding, and maybe it's for a future time. Maybe God will show up with something better in the near future, and He often does. You have to give Him that. So today was a video about just singing the praises of those unsung heroes. In the 21 Laws of Leadership, John Maxwell talks about the law of sacrifice, that you have to give up to go up. And I do believe that very, very strongly. But sometimes it means you have to give up to not go up. In other words, sometimes you have to give up on your dreams and accept a lower position in life, or something that you have to bid your time on and be patient with, because maybe the timing just isn't right. And the people who make such sacrifices, we don't talk about them. We don't talk about them in personal development. We don't talk about them on a daily basis. We don't hear about those. But they are heroes in my book, because they have learned the value of sacrifice. And it's not always easy to give up on your dreams, just like Aunt May said. It reminds me of a story of James Dobson. James Dobson is a famous Christian psychologist. He's written many, many, many books. He's helped a lot of families overcome a lot of troubles. He's a very, very good man, and kind of a heroic figure, if you will, in a sense. And he told a story that really inspired me a while back. He said, he recalled when he was young. He was a young kid, maybe a teenager. I don't remember what age he was, if he was 10 or 12 years old. I don't remember. But I remember he said that he was going through a really, really, really tough patch, and he was rebelling, and he was showing signs that he was going down the wrong path. And his father was working long hours at a job that paid quite well. And because of the way the son was going, he was becoming a wayward son, basically, and the mom was at her wit's end. She was crying. She was having a really hard time. James Dobson's dad, at the time, left his job, and he went to take another position that paid a lot less and that required him to do a lot less hours. So it was a very big financial sacrifice. But the only reason he did that was to be home with his son, to be there, be more present, and to basically show him the way, so that young James Dobson would not become a bum, or a casualty of a dad who just wasn't present. So when he told that story, I thought it was really amazing, because James Dobson himself admitted, he said, you know what, if my dad had not done this sacrifice, I don't think that I would have become the man I am today, and I don't think I would have studied the way I did and become a Christian psychologist and impacted the lives of people the way I did. So it's just an example that shows you that this guy, James Dobson's father, pretty much an unsung hero. He didn't write any books. We don't know about him. And yet, in James Dobson's life, he was definitely a real hero. So I hope this encouraged you today. If you are going through sacrifices like this, if you have decided to make a sacrifice for your family and give up on your dreams, even if it's temporarily, a tip of the hat to you. I commend you, and I hope you have a blessed Saturday, a blessed weekend. I hope you enjoy your time with your family. On that, have a good day. Bye-bye.